For Facebook to join us. Okay, we are live. We are live. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Waters, and I am one of the many practitioners here at CNY Healing Arts and CNY Fertility. I'm happy to be here today. I've been learning a lot about the endocrine system, which I will be sharing with you at some point. It is fascinating. There's so much incredible information we have available to us about how these non-ductless glands work and how our hormonal reality is really one of the most important things we can focus on. I've been saying for years, hormones rule the world. And now I really understand at a much more deeper level how and why our endocrine system can go awry and what we can do to bring it back to balance and then maintain that balance. It's really what we want to do. I always say disease is complex, health is not. We already know things that we can do every day to promote health. And that way we prevent disease. Remember, the tradition of history of Chinese medicine is that you paid the physician to stay healthy. You didn't pay your practitioner if you got sick because they have failed you. So it's interesting to just think about the history where we've come from, and we've come so far in the other direction. The disease care system is detrimental to your health, unfortunately. It is a both and world, but let's face the facts here, folks. We really need to start focusing on the practices of health, the purification practices, the regenerative medicine, things that we can do to restore our health. And there's a lot of amazing information out there. Accessing it is another story. But today I had a request. Somebody wanted me to talk about the relationship of the heart to the uterus. And, those of you that know me know I've been in practice for a long time. And every decade has a story and a theme. And this decade for me is really understanding the heart and the emotions that we carry in the heart, and how true intelligent aging, the true anti-aging, is to deal with your negative emotions. If you are walking around angry, resentful, frustrated, that is aging you. This is aging our cells. And you can see it when people, those of you, I'm sure everybody has a great grandparent or grandparent in their life, or a friend, a neighbor in their 80s, even 90s, and you can see the difference in their shun, their spirit, of the people that have reconciled the emotional challenges in life end up with a certain kind of beauty, right? They look peaceful, they're happy, they're stable, and their face is beautiful. And people that haven't had the courage to dive in, it's not easy work, but it's well worth your efforts. You have to be fairly fearless to say, you know what, I'm going to start noticing my triggers. Why am I reacting? Who am I reacting to? What am I reacting around me? And because it's an inside job, right? Freedom is an inside job. Only you can free yourself. There's no therapist that's going to free you. There's no massage therapist that's going to free you, right? So this should be the good news, that you alone can free yourself. And there's a lot of people out there that can help you, nudge you, shine the mirror, polish the mirror for you, and say, wow, this is what I see. And in my past, what I used to say is, if I react to somebody telling me something about myself, it's probably true. And just take that reaction, do whatever you need to do with it. But then at some point, pause and think about it, examine. Did they say the truth to me, and that's why I reacted? And if so, then you can work on it. The first step to freedom is just recognizing it, right? That's the hardest part. The rest is easy. Once you say, wow, I really did, create the situation where in Chinese medicine, every organ has an emotional component, right? So right now we are in the season of spring, which is the liver. And this is 5-element theory. And it's a wonderful theory. It goes back for thousands of years. And it can kind of be a guide for how to live your life and the changes that you should make. Some of it depends on your geographic location, right? So if you're living in the Dominican Republic, that's a lot different than Alaska, right? So we're going to adapt to our surroundings differently. So here's the thing. I don't believe in programs. I don't think that healthcare can be programmed. Anybody that's selling you a program is selling you a program. We don't know what you need until we tune into, I should say, I don't know how I'm going to help you until I meet you, till I look at your tongue, I feel your pulse, I see what's going on with you. Then we're going to customize exactly what you need based on your age, your challenges, what you're holding on to emotionally, um, and where you live, right? How are we going to adapt? Because health is adaptive, right? So we need to be able to adapt to our environment, which we're having less and less opportunities to do because everybody's living in these controlled environments. And we need to maintain our emotional resiliency and the resiliency of our nervous system, which is controlling the endocrine system, right? If your hormones are out of whack, you have to look to the nervous system and see what can I do for my nervous system to make the changes there that need to occur. So 5-element theory, the spring is the liver, the summer is the heart. The heart is the yin organ, the small intestine is the yang, right? So the heart is supported, well, every season is supported by the season before. So if you want to have a good summer, you have to have a good spring, right? So the best way to prepare for summer, which most of us living in the North American hemisphere are experiencing more heat. So we have to use the spring to get our livers functioning and gallbladders. We always point the blame to the liver when it's the gallbladder often that needs the most support and should be taking a lot more responsibility for our digestive issues, for a lot of PMS symptoms can actually be related to the gallbladder. So we need to look at all of that. The gallbladder is one of the extraordinary meridians and organs, the same as the uterus is. So it has a very special place in Chinese medicine. So we need to give it specialized attention. So anyways, so we look to the spring and what are we doing to support our liver in the spring, liver, gallbladder, so that when we transition into summer, we're not going to be feeling a lot of excess heat and dampness and worry and overthinking and insomnia and all of this stuff. Because here's the thing that a lot of people, we forget this, right? In Chinese medicine, the heart has a special direct relationship with the uterus, and it's through the channel called the Bao Mai. The Bao Mai is what connects the heart literally to the uterus. So we have the function of the heart, which is, right, the rate, rhythm, tone of pumping the blood. And then we have the spiritual component, which is the emotional component. Remember, true spiritual work is working with the emotions, right? We often think of spiritual practice as something lofty, something that you do in church, something you do in a monastery, and that's all fine and well, but it's actually what you do every day. How do you interact with people? Are you kind? True spiritual practice is about being kind to everyone, right? To the stranger walking down the street, smiling to them, okay? Helping each other, opening the door, whatever it is. That's true spiritual practice according to my teachers. And I have experienced that to be the truth myself, luckily. So work on that kindness aspect in yourself. This is where the heart is able to open up and allow the blood to flow more freely and ultimately send the fresh, healthy blood to the uterus that it needs to function well. Because remember, the ovaries are probably the most important. Well, I shouldn't say that. We can't really prioritize which of the endocrine glands are the most important. If we did, we'd have to go to the head, to the pituitary and hypothalamus, right? The master glands. But the ovaries, which are everything's interconnected, the ovaries are really working all the time. And I believe the tissue of the ovaries is very sensitive, if not more sensitive than the thyroid. They work together. So if one's off, they're all off. But we need to learn how to detox the ovaries to get them functioning well. Remember, they produce more than just progesterone. There's a whole list of hormones that the ovaries are secreting directly into the bloodstream. That's what's meant by a non-ductless endocrine gland. So it means the hormones, what's being secreted by these glands, is going directly into the blood. So it makes them very potent messengers, right? Sending the signals out constantly, telling our endocrine system how to function. So back to the heart and the uterus. So the more we can open up the heart, work on the deeper, more subtler layers of our feelings, being honest with how we're feeling. I'm not a huge fan of the positive thinking movement. I think it can be a movement of denial and repression. Not everything is okay. Not every day is great, right? I think that the push to go from negative to positive is too much. That's what allows people a lot of emotional instability, that's going from low to high all the time. We have to go from low to neutral, right? It doesn't have to be a great day. It has to be Wednesday, right? That's a big difference from going, I'm having a really hard time and now I have to be happy and excited about Wednesday. No, you don't, but you need to get to neutral. You need to get comfortable with, it doesn't have to be a horrible day, but it's Wednesday. We all have a lot to be grateful for. And then once you get comfortable in that stability of it's just Wednesday, then you can push yourself up to being more positive, right? So it's a cycle of being honest with how you're feeling, learning to process your emotions, having somebody there for you who can listen to you. It's great to vent. One of my favorite teachers, Carolyn Mace, always said, if something bad happens to you, tell 3 people, and that's it. 3. Then stop recreating the story over and over and over. It's keeping you stuck in the trauma, right? The trauma and the drama of what happened. It's over. We keep the past alive because we keep talking about it, and that's ramping our nervous system up. Listen, your endocrine system doesn't know what's currently happening or what happened in the past. So the more we keep the past alive within us, your body is going into fight or flight constantly, right? Because it doesn't know that the car accident was 5 years ago if you keep talking about it today. So all of this is affecting our heart, which is the same character as the brain in Chinese medicine, right? So the heart mind with a capital M, it's a bigger, broader definition. The heart is our anchor for this. And ultimately, conception is an act of receiving, right? You are receiving this being, regardless of your spiritual faith or your belief. You were receiving life into your uterus, into what I call my favorite condominium, the uterus. So you have to be open-minded, open-hearted, which takes a lot of courage. And this is the kind of courage we need in our society now. We need to have that ability to truly connect with each other and care and to work out our negativities. We're role models for our children, right? We're role models for these young people struggling. And so please do whatever you can do to work on that. So what else can you do to prepare for summer? We're right about we're very close to the solstice, right? The longest day of the year. And the season, the flavor of the summer in small intestine is bitter. So none of us are getting enough bitter foods such as dandelion, burdock. There's a lot of radicchio. There's a lot of bitter. Coffee's a bitter. So if you are a coffee drinker, keep it bitter. You can put in a little cream, but it's the opportunity that people get every day to incorporate the bitter flavor into their life. And they often miss it by covering it up with sugar. So, there's a lot of other bitter herbs we use. I recommend everybody take some bitters before a meal to help the body to excrete its own natural juices, digestive juices. It's a wonderful thing. You can buy the Swedish bitters are out there. You can sip on them. A lot of cultures will start a meal with something bitter to get kind of whet the appetite, which is that salivary glands getting things going to help the stomach do its job, which ultimately helps the small intestine do its job. So the digestive system is a system of transitions. I'm putting together a class that's based on looking at all of the transitions that we go through in order to digest our food. And it's the transitions where people get stuck often. And we could think about that in terms of 5-element also. We have to transition well from the spring, the liver, gallbladder, to the summer, the heart and small intestine. And in the meantime, you can do things like self-care, the Arvigo Maya abdominal therapy to help open up the diaphragm. If the blood is being stuck anywhere, releasing the diaphragm will open things up so the blood can flow down to the uterus and the ovaries. So that is the flavor of the summer, the bitter, what else? Depending on where you live. We'll talk about late summer as it gets closer because there's very specific things you can do in the late summer to clear out the summer heat, right? So you don't want to just accumulate a lot of heat in the body in the summer without clearing it out. I have mastered the art of skin things in late summer because of that excess dampness and heat in the body. So, okay, I think that's all. I've rambled on long enough. Have a wonderful day and take care. And remember, it's what you do every day that matters most. Be kind to yourself so that you can be kind to others.